Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, your pre-race edition for the 2019 Singapore Grand Prix, and we start down at Haas. Could you see that on the shot? You couldn't, could you, Steve? Never mind. We are at Haas. Beautifully done, mate. Because the big story today, actually there's a few big stories arriving here at Singapore, but one of them is that Haas have decided to stick with their current driver lineup of Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen. A lot of people thought that Nico Hlkenberg, having been let go by Renault and replaced with Esteban Ocon for 2020, would be high on the list of priorities for Haas, and that he might actually be replacing that guy, Romain Grosjean. Ultimately, Hulkenberg was never offered the drive. They had conversations, Gunther Steiner said today, but they never offered Hulkenberg the drive. They wanted to stay with Romain Grosjean. And when you look at the fact that when that new car upgrade came in, Romain was the first one that said, it doesn't work, let's go back, kept pushing it, and then he's been instrumental in helping the team get to the bottom of what the issues with their car is. I've got to say, I'm not that surprised that they've stuck with him. I think it's a really good choice. Plus, he knows how to bring home a podium in Formula One, done it countless times for Lotus. So let's start with him. And let's start with Nico Hlkenberg. What does the future hold for him? Will it be in Formula One? Because there are very, very few seats left. You'd have to think that Red Bull is probably not an option, given that he's not a Red Bull driver, and they just don't take drivers from outside the mix. Even if they do, it's drivers that have at one point in time been in the Red Bull family, which pretty much just leaves Alpha or back to where it all started at Williams. A lot to discuss, a lot to discover. First with Romain Grosjean, back for another year with Haas, and then with Nico Hlkenberg. What does the future hold for him? Congratulations though, man. It's great news after such a hard year to be coming back. The team's confidence obviously in you and the job you've done in turning that car around.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. It's been very challenging, I think, on every aspect for everyone. You know, we're all in the same boat, and the engineers, the mechanics, they're here to race. They're here to try to win races as the drivers are, and obviously we don't have the tool to do it. So it's been a tough year, but yeah, it's a very good news carrying on with the team. I think our story started on day one, and it's not finished yet. So we still have to write a little bit of the book before we close it.
Talking about writing the book, how much of this chapter is already turned? How much are you looking towards next year already?
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. I admit, coming into races, never know exactly what you're going to get. Also, I think we need to try to understand as much as we can this year, so it's actually quite important. And also for yourself, for your respect, for respect to the boys, to everyone, every time you come to a racetrack, you should be well prepared, you should be ready to go and give it as hard as you can. Even though you may not have the best car, you still do Formula One, which is the best job in the world, and you still do what you love, and you can easily decide to go another championship and say, look, I've had enough of not winning races, I can go somewhere else. I had the question to myself over the summer, and I thought I won't stay at Formula One. I love it too much, and I'm ready to not win races for some more time if that's what it takes, but I'm ready to race hard.
What does the future hold?
Ooh. If I'd know, I'd tell you.
Well, we'd like to know, if you did know. Does that mean it's all open? Is Formula One still on the cards?
Yeah, very much so, I believe. Nothing to announce, nothing, it's set in stone for now, but I believe there is still a very realistic chance.
And would that be at Alpha or would that be at Williams?
I think, that's a question. Obviously, it's difficult for me to go into too much details. It's all, confidential and sensitive stuff, as you can imagine. But you can also see and imagine yourself, what's still out there. I think, you can see for yourself. But it's just going to need a bit more time until we know and have clarity.
It's been a long time since you've stood on a podium, other than at Le Mans, obviously. With that in mind, would you like to go racing anywhere else, to return back to the podium where you seem to always be before you got to F1?
That's not on my head, to be honest, now, and wherever the journey takes me or what happens, for now, I'm still fully focused and biased towards Formula One. What happens after that, to be honest, I would leave it completely open, because I haven't really given that much thought, and I'm not sure what I would like to do afterwards. So it's going to be interesting next 2 weeks.
So Nico Hlkenberg wants to stay in Formula One, and as we said, one of the options for him could be at Williams. But that means one driver has to make way, and it was Robert Kubica who announced this afternoon in the press conference that he had decided that at the end of this year he will cease his relationship with Williams. Apparently it was his decision to go. I think the story of Robert Kubica is more, obviously, than just the 2019 season. His return to Formula One alone is one of the most incredible stories of the last decade of any sport. It is an incredible story, and okay, it hasn't been the fairy tale that everybody hoped it would be, but Robert still has a fire inside him. He still has a desire. And we're going to speak to him about his decision and what the future holds for a guy who is still so highly rated within this paddock. Big news.
Well, I don't know if it's so big, but I have took decision to let's say stop my journey with Williams in the end of the year, which is my decision, and we will see what the future will bring.
What do you want the future to bring?
You can want many things, but we have to see what will happen and what realistic is possible. So for sure, knowing or taking my decision, it will open a bit possibilities to talk for other opportunities, and then let's see what will be possible. But first of all, you have to see what is possible, and then choose in what you think is the best for you.
Is Formula One the priority, or is racing priority?
I would say racing is priority. Definitely, it has been. I think everything you have to come back many years back to understand what's behind, and I think being away of racing for long, putting a lot of effort to be back. It's for sure a good achievement, but you want to race. You want to race in the best place as possible, and we'll see what will be possible.
So that's Robert. He wants to carry on racing. Rumours linking him with DTM. Rumours also have been linking him with... Hello, sir. You can follow. Rumours also linking Robert potentially with a Ferrari sim driver role. Who knows what the future holds, but we wish him well. Great guy, supremely talented, and as we said, an amazing story. One of the other possibilities for Nico Hlkenberg that we discussed would be to join up with his old ART GP2, as it was then, team boss Fred Vasseur, who now runs Alfa Romeo. But would Ferrari allow Antonio Giovinazzi to slip out of that seat? He scored points at home in Monza, 9th place. You must have heard the screams on the radio as he crossed the line. It felt like a win for him. It's been a difficult season, but he is really starting to come on in leaps and bounds in this second half of his rookie season. We could hear what it meant to you when you crossed the line in Monza. It sounded like a win almost.
I think especially after what happened in Spa, I went there with my motivation was a little bit low, but I want to do really well for the team, for the Tifosi. I know the result on Sunday was really great, especially with all support I got from Wednesday already from the Tifosi, and I was happy also for the team. So it was a really great result, I think, for me, for the team, for the Tifosi. Tifosi, Ferrari won, finished on top 10, so it was I think the best result that the Italy can ask.
What about this weekend? Is this the kind of circuit that you're going to look forward to, given that you go so well at places like Baku, and this circuit's not too dissimilar to that?
Yeah, I love street track. Of course, I had not much laps here. It's quite new for me, the track, but looking forward to race here. I think we have also a good car, and we need to bring, I think, good points for the team on Sunday. I think the best session will be on Saturday. Qualifying will be really important because, like every street track, is not easy to overtake. So we need to focus on that, and then Sunday will be also tough with the humidity and the hot conditions, so it will be not easy to race. But I will give you the best, and hopefully we can achieve the best result.
When you are racing, how clear are the rules on how far you can push another driver? Has it changed at all this season? Is there more leeway, more scope to race?
Yeah, I think nothing changed, to be honest, from the beginning of the season. I try always to push at the maximum. Of course, to stop for 2 years was not really easy, especially to fight with other people, especially in F1. But I think confidence is coming better and better, and I want just the best for me, for the team. And I think we can have a good result on Sunday. We can achieve the best result on Sunday.
McLaren didn't get the rewards from the last 2 races that they were hoping for, and this is a track which they're still not sure whether or not it's going to suit their car. Low speed stuff, tricky for McLaren. We spoke to both drivers today. Carlos is feeling pretty good about it. They just need practice to go well. If they can get practice sorted and feel confident at the end of practice, then they're feeling good for the race. But theoretically, it's not one that should actually suit them. Let's talk to Lando though. Rookie driver here in Singapore. What do you have to do as a rookie to get your head into it, to get yourself ready for what is the toughest physically Grand Prix of the entire calendar? How much are you looking forward to this one? Because it's such a unique circuit and experience.
A lot. It's for a while now it's been one of the only tracks which I've never been to. So it's one I've always looked forward to. It's one everyone seems to talk about. It's a night race. It's such a nice place to come. I've been here since last Thursday, so to spend some time here has been quite nice. As much as it's hot and humid and very sweaty, it's just a cool place to come and eventually go and drive on track. So I've looked forward to it for a long time. A big weekend because of those reasons. I've never been here, so it's going to be a tough weekend, but at the same time it's such a cool track to drive on the simulator. Not quite Monaco, but it's a street circuit, night race, so it's a combination of the cool things, and that's what a driver likes.
And it's massively physical as well. 2 hours in these kind of temperatures, it's not uncommon for, we see you guys getting out of the car and the most exhausted that we ever see you guys. How do you prepare for going into the unknown like that?
I don't know, just hope for the best. All the way throughout the year, everyone's tough no matter what, especially the endurance side of things. We're doing this for 2 hours, repetitively hitting the brake with how much force, going around corners with the G-force and everything, so it's tough anyway. So you're always doing cardio, not always doing heat chamber work, but you're always doing long runs and everything, so you're kind of used to that side. But the 2 other factors is obviously the humidity, the temperature, and we've raced in tracks which have been hotter than this, but it's the humidity which adds an extra effect. And then the fact it's a night race and a street circuit. And I wouldn't say we lose concentration, but concentration is one of the things, and vision, that slowly drops away with tiredness and exhaustion. So in other tracks, when you've got more room for error, everything, you can oversteer because you have a slight lapse in concentration, and you're like, that's all right, you get away with it, no one knows. Whereas here, you just blink when you're not meant to or something, you're in the whoops. So it's the combination of a lot of factors, and that's why it's so tough.
You talked about room. How much room do you need to leave in racing? And are you guys all on the same page about this now, with the stewards, with the black and white flag, with all of that? Do you know what you're allowed to do?
I think we do. I think the stewards do now, or they're going towards what I think is right. As drivers, I think we all know what we want and we all agree. It's not so much down to us, it's more down to the people who basically make the rules and give us penalties and not penalties. So after Monza, I think it didn't clear things up, but it made it more obvious for people what you can do, what you can't do, what's on the edge, and that was on the edge. So I think it's a good thing. More close racing, more, I don't want to say contact, that's not the right word for this, but more just, racing. I think more argy-bargy, that's it. More argy-bargy, more racing, and that's just what we love doing as drivers. It's what you guys love to see, it's what the fans love to see, so I hope we can continue that.
It's been a difficult 10 days for a number of drivers in this paddock who knew Antoine Hubert and who attended his funeral in France. Not least for Pierre Gasly, one of Antoine's best friends. It's been a really rough time for him. But races race on, and Pierre is just looking forward to pulling on his helmet and getting on with the job at hand. Loves this track, can't wait to get back in the car. an impossible 10 days for you, I know. How much are you looking forward to getting back in the car, getting out on a track that seems to suit you so well?
Yeah, really excited to be in Singapore. It's my second time here, but it's been always one of my favorite track. When I was really little, I always liked to play on my PlayStation on this track because that's the one with the most corners. So as a driver, you just feel you have a bit more input on the performance. And yeah, it's a great challenge just due to the conditions and the track layout. So yeah, excited to get started.
Is it easy to find a rhythm around here?
Well, it's not easy at all because yeah, you have many challenges just due to the track layout. It's a street track, really bumpy, walls really close. You just need to play with the walls, stay, don't touch them, but yeah, just try to use the track as much as you can. So it's kind of Monaco or Baku kind of track, which is always the most challenging as a driver.
Now, you as drivers, do you know what you're allowed to do in wheel-to-wheel combat? Have the rules changed? Has the game changed since Canada and the use of the black and white flag? There seems to be a lot of controversy about what you can and can't do. Is it clear for you?
Well, I think for sure we are going a bit more into just maximizing the racing, and that's something us drivers I've always wanted. So no, I think we are going in the right directions. For sure, it's all situations are always a bit different, but I think it's important. I think we'll talk about it in the drivers' briefing to really make sure what we are allowed to do, what we are not, what we can do. But yeah, there seems to be a bit more freedom and yeah, a bigger push for racing and close racing, which is good and what we like.
And so to Racing Point. Hi Esteban.
Hello Will.
How are you?
Very good, mate. You?
Very good. Have you been in Racing Point?
Yeah, I've been there a little bit.
Just to say hi to people.
Seeing the old friends. I was speaking to my chief mechanic who's at home now, retired. So always nice, to have a bit of chat with the old colleagues.
You weren't having a seat fit, were you?
No.
Because Checo's poorly. And you're reserve driver, aren't you?
Yeah, I am reserve driver for there. But no, we are not having a seat fit. I still have my seat.
Oh, you
from
still
last
have
year.
your seat from last year?
Exactly.
Is it in the garage?
It's still there, yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Team says Checo probably will be okay tomorrow. He's just a bit poorly today. Saw him earlier. He was in a big jacket, which with the heat here, it must have been really, got the shivers and everything. They said he had a bit of a dicky tummy, a bit poorly. So he went back to the hotel. As I said, Esteban he's not officially their reserve driver, but he'd be cover if Checo can't drive. But as I said, team feeling like Checo will drive. So that's good news. Although it does for my early season prediction that Ocon would drive at least one race this year. Still a chance. We'll talk, in the absence of Sergio Perez, to Lance Stroll. Looking towards this race this weekend, massive upgrade package on the car, their final big push for the year. Racing Point hoping that this will take them not just towards the front of the midfield battle, but all the way onto the back of the top three teams. What kind of an upgrade package have you got on the car? What kind of a performance increase are you hoping to see?
A big one. That's the hope. On paper, it's it's very positive, but you never know until it hits the track.
Cool. Let's look back a couple of weeks to Monza. Obviously, what happened with Seb. Is it difficult for you guys to see as you're re-entering the track? Do you need I heard people talking about spotters like they have in IndyCar to let you know when it's okay to come back on the track?
Yeah, you can't see anything. So like when I came back on the track, I was completely blind. I assumed Seb was in the same position. So definitely getting some feedback from the engineer. We went over it after the race, as we always do. We go over everything, and in the heat of the moment, adrenaline was running high. I was in a good position, and I got taken out of the race in a very, in a fluke way by Seb. And then when I was in the same position, I, did a very similar thing. And when adrenaline's running high, you just want to get back on the track as quick as possible and get racing. But it is very challenging to see. I mean, I couldn't see anything from the position I was in. I don't really know Seb if that was his case from his cockpit, but I mean, spotters potentially, or just the engineers have all the data that they need, and they know where all the cars are on the track. So when there is a window, they can help you get back on the track. But I do think it was a very unique incident in a very awkward place. I don't think it would happen too often. Ascari is very high speed, and you don't see a lot of cars sitting in the position that Seb or myself was sitting in, and unfortunately it just led to a mess.
And so too the top three teams, and we will start with Red Bull Racing, who many people think arrive here in Singapore as the favourites for the race win. I'm going to talk to Max Verstappen, and he was feeling pretty confident about the weekend. He says he doesn't want to be seen as the favourite. Why would you? You can only have disappointment if it doesn't all play out. We will instead talk to Alex Alban. He's had only 2 races with the team and with the car. How tricky is he finding it to get in the window? Because what we understand is, and if you heard Beyond the Grid with him, this car has quite a narrow operating window. It's very precise. So how is he adapting to this car, trying to get it to exactly the right point to extract the maximum from it?
I think it's not easy, but I think it's not easy on any car. Just understanding the window is actually more the case on any car, again. But I felt like in Monza definitely started to feel what it needs and what the car needs, and it's getting better, yeah.
Is it something you have to adapt yourself to, or is there something within the car that you can adapt to you?
I think it's definitely more me adapting to the car. Just obviously, there's no point to change a lot of things in the car when they know it's quick. So it's just letting it come to me and just picking it up. I mean, even in the races, I'm still trying some stuff and seeing what works, what doesn't. It's part of the learning curve. But it's really that just laps in the car and getting used to it.
Racing rules. Do you know what you can and can't do? Has the game changed since the start of the season? Does the black and white flag play any difference?
I prefer it. I do. I think I'd rather it be this way than the other way. It's one of the things. I would have liked a warning if it was Magnussen's with Magnussen's one, but I know it wasn't really. I got a bit cheeky with that one. But it's better this way, that's for sure. I think the less rules and the less kind of ways to word it, the better.
We've been asking the questions from the start of the year and never received a satisfactory answer to it. And then we did, crushingly. 2 wins on the bounce for Ferrari. Yes, they did have what everybody knew they had all along, a race-winning car, a car with proper pedigree. And when it all came together, it was just perfect, really, spot on. They executed both Spa and Monza for Charles Leclerc pretty much, as I said, faultlessly, spot on. Slight blemish, though, for Chuck Leclerc in Monza. All of that dilly-dallying around in qualifying. Binotto not a happy team principal and said on the warm-down lap in Monza, all is forgiven. I like that. I like that there's a little bit of needle at the team. Seb clearly not happy about that situation, but Charles is now a 2-time race winner. Some people have said the balance has shifted towards Charles. Seb's on his way out. He's on the ropes. He's over. Press conference earlier today, Daniel Ricciardo said all it's going to take is one good race and Seb will be right back and no one will be asking these ridiculous questions. But there are questions. Let's talk to Sebastian. We've heard a lot from Charles over the last couple of weeks. Let's talk to Seb about arriving here in Singapore, what the team can do, what he can do, where his headspace is at, really, with less than a third of the season remaining.
I look forward to it. I think it's a sort of love-hate relationship because it's the toughest race in the season. It's the longest race that we have, physically one of the most challenging. Obviously, there are no high-speed corners, but it's hot in the car. It's very humid. I think you need an incredible level of focus driving here. You want to prepare as best as you can, and you don't want the race weekend to sort of come, but then ultimately you want to get going. You want to come here and prove to yourself that you can do it. So hence the sort of love-hate relationship. But I feel ready. I feel excited. I like coming here, and it's a special race. It looks spectacular outside the car, but also inside the car. So let's see what we get. Well, obviously on paper we know what we expect, and hopefully we see the same on the track. It would be nice if we see even more. But I think as long as everything is working and we can feel inside the car that it's a step forward and allows us to extract more performance, feel more comfortable, etc., then that would be a success. So we know that it will be difficult. It's a maximum downforce track. Last time we've been on a maximum downforce track was in Hungary, and we were not competitive. So let's see if we are. I still love racing. I've lots to look forward to, and a lot of races this year to hopefully get in a better position, finish the season the way I think we want, and then obviously prepare for the next one.
And so we finish with the championship leaders. I did want to bring you some quotes from Valtteri Bottas, but Felix over there, that's Felix. Felix thought the press conference was supposed to start at 9:30. So, and he told everybody that it actually started at 9:50. So he started it at 9:30 and no one was there, apart from Valtteri. So the press conference finished and we didn't get to talk to him. And we're all giving Felix a good ribbing about it. So here's Lewis Hamilton, championship leader coming into this weekend. A lot of discussion, obviously, about whether Mercedes can swing back from the last couple of races. They had a good car. They had a great car. Ferrari just had a better one. A couple of hard races in terms of result for you guys. Is this going to be more to your and the car's liking?
I hope so. The last races, the cars have not been too bad. It's just the others have been faster. So I think this weekend, I think the Red Bulls are going to be particularly quick. I think they're going to be the really hard ones to beat. With their package has been great in a lot of the races this year. So time will tell.
Cool. Stewarding, racing room, the racing rules. Has it changed? Is it the same as it's always been, or is it just the stewards using a bit more leniency, nuance? Because racing exists in the grey areas, doesn't it? It's not black and white.
No, I think it does change. It's changed quite a bit. They're a lot more lenient, a lot more relaxed on the rules that were previously set. It's not really a rule, and the rules aren't really there anymore. So, but fair play.
Do you think it's open season then? You can push.
It kind of seems like it.
Really?
But maybe they wake up on a different side of the bed, and then you'll get the rule for the rule that they had written. But the penalty for the rule they've written, but it looks like they're being more lenient and just not bothering with a lot of the rules now. So that's good for the driver to know, and you maybe position yourself slightly different. You could be more aggressive and not have to worry of the consequences necessarily. But what President Nat sets would be interesting.
Is that something though? Is it something you guys are going to have to discuss and driver brief and say, look, we've had all these different examples. Where is the line?
It would definitely come up. Obviously we're dealing with a different head of stewarding as well. Different philosophy from we had Charlie for so long, who was really at the pinnacle of that, and now it's shifted. And so it'll just be interesting to see what the trend is moving forwards. And all we ever ask for is consistency. But if they're not throwing penalties at the rules that they've written before, then that'll be the consistent trend. And if racing is people who enjoy that more, no problem, we'll race like that.
So that is your lot from Paddock Pass, nearly, anyway. You may have noticed, dear viewer, that at the end of each of the interviews we asked the drivers about racing room and getting your elbows out and how much space you are allowed to leave, in most of the interviews anyway. And that's because it has become a hot topic. Canada, the Vettel penalty, leaving the track, coming back on, did he leave room, didn't he leave room? It left a bitter taste. The question was asked, when is racing? When can you defend? When can you attack? What are the rules? Because if we deal with everything black and white, there is no nuance, there is no grey areas, and racing, it could be argued, exists within the grey areas. Every racing incident is unique, so can you ever have consistency when incidents themselves are inconsistent by their nature? Michael Massey, race director, has begun to reintroduce the black and white flag. Now, this is not a new flag. It has always existed in all racing. But it fell out of use in Formula One as stewards were called upon to determine the rights and wrongs of racing actions. This warning flag, or sporting conduct, gentlemanly conduct flag, fell out of use. And he's brought it back. The interesting thing, though, is it's not the stewards that show the flag. It's Michael Massey as race director. So just because he shows a driver the black and white flag and tells them, tuck your elbows in, it doesn't mean that the stewards can't then investigate that exact same incident and find that the driver hadn't just got their elbows out, but had contravened the regulation. As you've heard from the drivers, I think pretty much every single one of them says that they want to be able to race. They want to be able to have physical, aggressive fights. They just need to know exactly where the limits are. Do you get one chance? Or are the rules what they always were? It's a really interesting conundrum. It's a really interesting debate. The drivers, as Lewis Hamilton said, will talk to Michael Massey, will talk to each other in the drivers' briefing tomorrow night and come up, I'm sure, with a workable plan of how this is. A lot of them say they're happy with it because they want to be able to race. They don't want every tiny little thing penalised. It's motor racing. You know, it's elbows out. Everyone always says, Dijon 79, what a race. They were banging wheels and skidding off and coming back. And do you want that penalised, or do you want that praised and rewarded? It's not an easy one. Who'd be an FIA race director or a steward? Right, that's your lot from Paddock Pass. Sorry for the at the end. Going to be a great weekend. Always is here in Singapore underneath the beautiful flyer. That's your lot from Paddock Pass. We will see you later.